A very good morning. It's just past 8 this Thursday morning and we are back again with Breakfast News. I'm Rukma and with me is Preeti. A very good morning to you, Preeti. And viewers, over the next 1 hour, we take you through all the major stories making headlines across India and the world. We'll also be taking a look at the stories, the news stories trending on Twitter and on social media, news from sports and health as well.
Yes, as Rukma told, it's a packed 1 hour ahead for you. Stay with us for the next 1 hour. We'll also get you the details of it being the 71st Constitution Day today. And it was on this day when the Constitution of India was adopted. We'll get you details of that as well. Added to that, to mark the celebrations, the President will read out the preamble today. We'll get you details on that as well. And we will be carrying the live reportage of that at 11 a.m. on DD News and DD India when the President will be reading out the preamble. Up next, we get to the headlines first. Stay with us for the 1 hour. Next 1 hour.
Very severe cyclonic storm Nivar crosses coast near Puducherry, weakens into severe cyclonic storm. Met Department predicts cyclone will weaken further. Thousands evacuated to storm shelters across Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Authorities fully prepared to handle situation arising out of cyclonic storm, which has led to heavy rainfall in several regions.
Constitution Day being observed across the country today to commemorate the adoption of Constitution of India. President Ramnath Kovind to read out the preamble of Constitution virtually at the working session of 80th All India Presiding Officers Conference today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to give the valedictory address.
Union Cabinet approves major decisions to revamp economy. Cabinet approves capital infusion of 6,000 crores to NIIF debt platform in next 2 years. Cabinet also approves amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with Development Bank India Limited.
Ministry of Home Affairs issues fresh guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution. Mandate states and union territories to strictly enforce containment measures and SOPs relating to various activities and COVID-appropriate behavior.
Argentine legend and all-time great footballer Diego Maradona passes away after suffering cardiorespiratory arrest. Argentina announces 3 days national mourning.
Those are the top stories. We'll get to the details now. We'll start with the top stories we're tracking. We'll get to updates on Cyclone Nivar first.
Well, very severe cyclonic storm Nivar, as we all know, much to the relief of all, crossed the coast near Puducherry and weakened into a severe cyclonic storm. According to the IMD, the center of the cyclone passed through Puducherry around midnight with a wind speed of 120 to 130 kilometers per hour, gusting to 145 kilometers per hour around 2:30 a.m. However, Cyclone Nivar has weakened into a severe cyclone, but the danger is not over yet, as some part of the cyclone is still over the sea, though the center is over the land. The winds are higher in northeast sector, therefore the northeast sector from Puducherry has still the higher winds of 100 to 110 kilometers per hour. It will gradually decrease to 65 to 75 kmph during the next few hours with further northwestward movement of the system over land. The weatherman says the effects of the storm with heavy rain and high winds will be felt till at least this afternoon. Spells of rain could continue till Friday.
फोरकास्ट किया था, बिल्कुल ऐसे ही वो हुआ है। और उसका जो इम्पैक्ट जैसे विंड, वो रेनफॉल मेनली जो है, रेनफॉल 24 टू 28 32 सेंटीमीटर जो है पांडिचेरी एरिया में हुआ है। और अभी ये सिस्टम जो है उत्तर पश्चिम के दिशा में जाएगा, उत्तर उत्तर पश्चिम। और नेक्स्ट 6 आवर्स में फर्दर वीक होगा। अभी एक स्केल डाउन हुआ है, पहले वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म था, अभी सीवियर साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म है, तो वीक हो चुका है और वो लैंडफॉल कर चुका है।
All right, our correspondent Tapas is joining us to get us more on that. Tapas, we tell our viewers that from very severe cyclonic storm, the storm has now improved to severe cyclonic storm, Cyclone Nivar. I would want you to spell out more details. What does this mean and what is to be expected during the day today?
In fact, a couple of hours, this severe cyclonic storm will turn into a cyclonic storm, and then it will, in the next 8 to 9 hours, it is expected that this will turn into a depression, and it will dissipate its intensity as it goes further inside. We've been told that expect south coastal Andhra Pradesh as well as Rayalaseema has been given red warning advisory by the IMD, because it is expected that a lot of rainfall activity is expected in those particular areas, and there is also flash flood warnings that has been issued, especially near about Chennai. In fact, we were told by IMD that in the next few hours, Chennai will see a spurt of rainfall activities. In fact, we've been told that as of now, the rainfall activity is not as much as they were expecting, but in the next few hours, it is expected to pick up, even though the wind speed will come down quite considerably, but the rainfall activity will continue for the next few hours, especially over Chennai as well as near Rayalaseema district.
Right, Tapas. Also, are there any advisories as of now? Any precautions that the IMD would be advising, would be issuing or has issued, because it's being said that the danger is not over yet?
Yes, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons why places like Chittoor, Kodappa district of Andhra Pradesh, as well as Vellore districts and Thiruvananthapuram, these are the places where the IMD has given rainfall warning that the low-lying areas is expected to be inundated with the incessant rain that is currently going on, and we were also told that advisory will be issued in a short while, especially near about the Chennai region, where because being a metropolitan city, it is expected that a high level of rainfall can have a flood sort of a situation in that particular place.
Right, Tapas. Well, many thanks for joining us and for those inputs. You keep your eyes on that story. We'll be getting back to you throughout the day for more.
And still continuing with Cyclone Nivar, parts of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry, including state capital Chennai, are seeing persistent rain and strong winds, resulting in property damage due to waterlogging and fallen trees. Chennai will witness intermittent showers as convective clouds and squall line along with feeder band of the cyclone are passing across the city at regular intervals. Meanwhile, thousands of people have been evacuated to storm shelters across Tamil Nadu. Many districts in Tamil Nadu and the Union Territory of Puducherry have declared a holiday today.
And the IMD has said that the very intense convection of Cyclone Nivar over Puducherry is weakening gradually. While rainfall will continue, the intensity of the rainfall will decrease. And well, joining us now is our correspondent Philip Matthews, who's been covering this entire story ever since that forecast began. Philip, a very good morning to you. Some relief there, even though there has been some damage to property. However, timely evacuation, timely precautions have ensured that the damage has been minimal. Philip, it's over to you. Give us the latest from the ground.
Well, that's right. In fact, the precautions taken by the state government have ensured that there's been minimal loss of life. In fact, the reports coming in from the districts indicate that perhaps 2 lives may have been lost, although these still have to be confirmed. We are hearing reports of a loss of life, one person losing a life in a wall collapse in Villipuram district, and another in a nearby district as well. So these are the two reports that we're getting, but official confirmation is still awaited. But apart from that, we haven't really heard of any human casualties as far as this cyclone is concerned, which just goes to show how well organized the state machinery has been in ensuring that, people have been moved to safer places at the earliest, and that they've been, placed in shelters which can withstand the impact of the cyclone. Of course, this of course is a result of the years of, facing up to these kind of natural disasters. And, these kind of natural phenomena over the years have led to the state administration evolving a mechanism by which people can be moved out of harm's way at the earliest as soon as warnings come in from the Met Office. So this has become a practice drill now. Almost, it's a matter of routine, and it comes into play almost as soon as the IMD sounds a warning about an impending cyclone. This was what was witnessed during earlier cyclones as well, during cyclones like Vardha and Gaja, and now of course during this particular cyclone as well. So clearly, the state administration has risen to the occasion so far. There haven't been any reports of any casualties, at least in Chennai so far. And although there still is a fairly gusty winds blowing across the city, along with spells of rain, which are at times heavy, by and large, it appears that the cyclone has, at least the severest impact of the cyclone, at least seems to have escaped Chennai.
All right, Philip, you attribute this to the alertness and swift management, effective management by the state administration. Then I would want you to talk more about, how has the Met Department evaluated the severity of this cyclone, even though we tell our viewers that the danger is not over yet. Over the past years also, as you also tell us, that Tamil Nadu has been struck with, natural phenomena, natural calamities. We saw how ravaging was the cyclone Gaja in 2018. I would want you to elaborate more on how has the Met Department, evaluated the severity of cyclone Nivar.
Well, over the decades, the Met Department has also refined its techniques of forecasting cyclones, and apart from improving on its statistical analysis of these of the weather patterns, it's also improved its range of sensors that are now placed all over. You even have sensors these days in the deep sea, which can tell you about weather patterns and about things like changes in the sea currents. All of these can give you clear indications of how things are changing, and there's a very complex system of sensors that is built in to detect changes in the atmosphere as well as on the surface of the sea. All of these contribute to the predictions that the Met Department makes, and over the years they've refined their model to an extent that this time, for instance, during Nivar, the prediction was almost spot on, because right from the beginning, the Met Office was forecasting that this would cross somewhere between, Karaikal and Mamalapuram, somewhere close to Puducherry, and that's exactly what seems to have happened. The cyclone seems to have stuck to the forecast path, and in fact, if you look at it in terms of its strike rate, I would say the Met Department has almost scored a century or 100% success rate as far as its predictions go. So clearly, it's hats off to the Met Department. They've clearly done a stellar job forecasting the cyclone. But of course, it will require more and more inputs in future to ensure that future cyclones, which may be more complex than this one, can be predicted with more certainty.
All right, Philip, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining us with those inputs. That was our correspondent, Philip Matthews, telling us more about how the state administration, along with the Met Department, dealt with Cyclone Nivar, which made a landfall early morning today. And also we saw that the damage is still not over yet, but no casualties have been reported. And that was what was spelled out by our correspondent as well, even as he gave us an update that till late afternoon today as well, heavy rains are expected, but the severity of the storm has weakened.
And also he's given a lot of credit to the IMD for the timely and correct prediction. The forecast has been on spot and exactly almost as the IMD had said it would be.
All right, up next we'll get you an update from Andhra Pradesh now. In Andhra Pradesh, heavy downpour is continuing, resulting in the increase of water level in dams and reservoirs. Several NDRF teams have also been deployed at vulnerable places. To talk more about it, our correspondent M. Srinivas is joining us. M. Srinivas, let us know, we tell our viewers that continuant and intermittent rainfall is continuing in Andhra Pradesh. How has the morning begun there?
Good morning, Rukmini. The morning is with heavy rains in Chittoor and Nellore and Prakasham. Majorly affected areas are eastern side of Chittoor district, which are near to Chennai, and all the reservoirs are like maximum capacity. And there is a report of landslide at Tirupati Temple Town on Ghat Road. Devotees are safe there. Around 6,000 people have been evacuated to safer places in Nellore and Chittoor districts. And holidays have been like continuing today also. CM Jagan Reddy is cancelled his programs and reviewing cyclone situation in the state. The more rehabilitations and rescue works have been in action. 4 NDRF teams are in action in Andhra Pradesh, in Chittoor and Nellore. Srikakulam and East-West Godavari Krishna also witnessing some rainfall here. Control rooms have been established and the special officers are on duty and they are looking after the work after the post-cyclone. These are the updates here from Vijayawada, Rukmini.
Right, Srinivasan, also when we talk about damage, although it has been averted to a great extent because of the timely action, the evacuation and the precautions taken by the administration, is there any account yet of damaged loss to property and so on, as well as electricity being cut off and so on?
As of now, there is no report as such, but there is a fear of crop loss may be there because the heavy rains will be there, and CM specifically instructed officials to alert farmers on this and ensure there won't be any damage or any leakage from the reservoir. So that's the major thing. There is no report of any life loss or any property damage.
Right. Well, Srinivas, thank you very much for joining us there and for your inputs. So clearly, even Andhra Pradesh, even though the holiday will be continuing and rains are predicted to continue till this afternoon, heavy rains, well, all is well, it appears.
Yes, indeed. I will keep you updated during the day as well. Also, we tell you that Cyclone Nivar made a late-night landfall near Puducherry, and the cyclone has weakened from a very severe cyclonic storm to a severe cyclonic storm, and is expected to turn into a depression in the next 8 to 9 hours. The Met Department also said that a new depression has emerged in Bay of Bengal named Burevi and is expected to turn into a cyclone. It is expected that the new system will get prominence in the first couple of days of December. IMT scientist R.K. Jainamani spoke exclusively to Doordarshan News. Let's take a look.
मौसम विभाग में सीनियर साइंटिस्ट डॉक्टर R.K. जैनामणि हमारे साथ वर्तमान हालात पर बातचीत करने के लिए अभी मौजूद हैं। सर, क्या चेन्नई में क्या जो आपका डिपार्टमेंट है वो क्या कर रहा है वर्तमान, क्या
नहीं, अभी जो आप देखिए जो साइक्लोन निवार है अभी एक स्केल डाउन हुआ है। पहले वेरी सीवियर साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म था, अभी सीवियर साइक्लोनिक स्टॉर्म है, तो वीक हो चुका है और वो लैंडफॉल कर चुका है।
Alright, we'll get that interaction in a while from now.
कि मतलब जो पहले के मुकाबले
Also, we tell you that as predicted by IMD, another system is brewing up in Bay of Bengal by the name of Burevi, and this would be active in the first few days of December.
Right, clearly, well, precautions need to be taken all around. The Bay of Bengal seems to be, brewing a number of storms in itself. Meanwhile, moving on, Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas is being observed across the country today. The day commemorates the adoption of the Constitution. President Ramnath Kovind will read out the preamble of the Constitution to mark the occasion. On the 26th of November in 1949, the Constituent Assembly formally adopted the Constitution that came into force on the 26th of January 1950. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment in the year 2015 notified the decision of the government to celebrate 26 November as Constitution Day. The day is celebrated to promote values of the Constitution among citizens. The day is also celebrated as a mark of tribute to India's first Law Minister, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who played a pivotal role in drafting the Constitution.
And the Films Division of Ministry of Information and Broadcasting will be streaming 4 films on its website and YouTube channel on the occasion of 71st Constitution Day today. The films will be ranging from topics which include adoption of the Indian Constitution, its salient features and life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. Films Division will be streaming films on Constitution of India.
And the 80th edition of the All India Presiding Officers Conference concludes today. The 2-day conference was inaugurated by President Ramnath Kovind in Kevadia in Gujarat. The theme for this year's conference is harmonious coordination between legislature, executive and judiciary, key to a vibrant democracy. The conference has seen discussions and on ways to ensure constitutional accountability of the legislature and the executive to the people. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will address the concluding session via video conferencing today. We tell you more in this report.
On Wednesday, the 2-day All India Presiding Officers Conference began in Kevadia, Gujarat. Inaugurating the 80th All India Conference of the Presiding Officers, President Ramnath Kovind said that the biggest challenge before the public, representatives and democratic institutions is to meet the expectations of the public. He also said that elected representatives should engage in healthy dialogue in parliament and legislative assemblies and refrain from using unparliamentary language during debates in the house.
लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्था में वाद को विवाद न बनने देने के लिए संवाद का माध्यम ही सबसे अच्छा माध्यम होता है। संसदीय लोकतंत्र में सत्ता पक्ष के साथ-साथ प्रतिपक्ष की भी महत्वपूर्ण भूमिका होती है। इसलिए इन दोनों में सामंजस्य, सहयोग एवं सार्थक विचार विमर्श आवश्यक है।
Underlining that none of the 3 organs of the state can claim to be supreme as only the constitution is paramount, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in his address said that harmonious coordination between legislature, executive and judiciary key to vibrant democracy. He also highlighted that harmony lies in each organ doing its job without interfering with that of the others.
It is appropriate for us to take stock of the harmonious working of the 3 organs. Harmony lies in each organ doing its job without interfering into the domain of others. This has to be kept in mind by all the 3 organs. This warrants a spirit of mutual respect, appreciation and cooperation. Our Constitution provides for checks and balances to ensure playing by the rules and harmony among the 3 organs of the state. It is a settled position that Constitution is supreme.
Meanwhile, Lok Sabha Speaker and Chairman of this conference, Om Birla, called upon all participating presiding officers to think about the constitutional responsibility on the Constitution Day. He also appealed the presiding officers to take oath for fulfilling the targets set by our great leaders.
बाबा साहब भीमराव अंबेडकर के राजनीति के साथ साथ आर्थिक लोकतंत्र के सपनों को पूरा करने के लिए ये विधायिका और अधिक सक्रियता से काम कर रही है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also participate in the concluding session of the 80th All India Presiding Officers Conference on Thursday via video conferencing. The theme of this year's conference is harmonious coordination of legislative, executive and judiciary key to a vibrant democracy. The Constitution Day will also be celebrated on 26 November, marking the 71st anniversary of the coming into force of the Constitution. The event has been organized near Statue of Unity in Kevadia, Gujarat. During his visit, President Ramnath Kovind paid tributes to Sardar Patel at the statue and also visited Arogya Van in Kevadia. DD India.
And joining us now is our correspondent Shishir Shelar, who's covering this event in Kevadia in Gujarat. Shishir, it was a power-packed day yesterday. Lots of speeches and addresses, lots of statements made that will be remembered for a long time and will have an impact on the road ahead. Well, take us through the major takeaways of yesterday.
Exactly, Rukma. As we were discussing the entire day yesterday, that how this conference is important and is quite a good platform here, even for all the legislators also, the executive also, and the judiciary also. And that's what yesterday we have seen here, when the president have said that it has all these three pillars have a greater responsibility because people expect from these three pillars of democracy to perform well. And that's the reason, instead of getting into tangle with each other, it's better to work with a harmonious coordination. And that's what we can make the democracy quite stronger here. Vice President reiterated the fact that Constitution is above all of these three important angles here from the judiciary, and we all abiding by the Constitution. And that's a fact that he reiterated. He also said that there has been differences, but we have to iron out those differences with the medium of as far as the discussions are concerned, communication is concerned. And that's the reason yesterday he said that communication is a major part in it, and that's the reason all these three important pillars of democracy should come and discuss various issues here. Each one has been defined their role in a constitution, and they should follow that role which is already there in the constitution, and probably we cannot come into across here. He also talked about the point that how sometimes the judiciary also come into way basically to the other powers here, like legislatures also. So obviously these things need to be ironed out here, and as we have said here, that the presiding officer conference is the right forum for all of them to talk about and to discuss the issues here and how they can move forward here. So obviously yesterday, as you've seen here, quite a jam-packed day obviously, and there was a working session also been addressed here where the Lok Sabha speaker was addressing the working session here. Today also there's one working session is scheduled in the afternoon here. Today being the Samvidhan Divas, Vice President also along with other dignitaries, Lok Sabha Speaker also will be reading the preamble from the Statue of Unity here, and probably in the afternoon Prime Minister will address the valedictory session here, and that also will see the probably last working session will also take place in the afternoon.
All right. Also, Shishir, taking forward these takeaways of yesterday, what is up to be taken up today? Also, we tell our viewers that it is, since it is the Constitution Day today, the President will read out the preamble also. And added to that, we also tell our viewers that the Prime Minister is to give the valedictory address. Spell out more details on these two as well.
Well, absolutely. Looking at this entire conference here, this conference has a tradition to pass a resolution. Obviously, these 2 days, there has been a lot of deliberation took place here. Obviously, today also a lot of meeting is scheduled here. So obviously, after the at the concluding ceremony, probably the conference has a tradition. Even in the last year also, it has passed a resolution on various topics. Even this time around also, we expect that the conference will pass a resolution about this, that how all these three pillars of the democracy can come together and work together for the better and strengthening democracy here. So that's what we can expect here. As you rightly said here, that today Vice President along with the Lok Sabha Speaker will also be gathered here at around 11 am. That's what we have been told, that all the dignitaries will gather at the Statue of Unity and they will read the preamble, and then the session will start here, and Prime Minister will be addressing the valedictory session here at around 12:30. That's what we got to know. He will be joining this meeting via virtual the video conferencing here, and he'll also be addressing the presiding officers here. Today being Samvidhan Divas also, as we have seen here that Samvidhan Divas has been celebrating in a very different manner since 2015. It's not just confined to the in-house only or indoors only, but it has now taken out to the people also, and probably this kind of practice makes people aware about what the Constitution has given to them. At the same time, it also shows that what is people's responsibility in a democratic society here, and that's the reason probably the main aim of celebrating Constitution is to make people aware also about their own rights, their own duties also, and their own responsibilities. And today probably we're going to see here the President, Vice President, Prime Minister will also reading the preamble, and that's give quite a good message to the people of India and get more aware about the preamble also. And going forward, it sees that it will increase the trust in the democracy also, the people, and the participation of people in the entire democratic process.
Right, Shishir. Well, you keep your eyes on that story. We'll be back with you in a short while from now. In fact, as DD News will be covering this entire event today as well, is the second day of the 80th Conference of Presiding Officers. Thank you very much to you, Shishir. And now moving on, the Union Cabinet has approved major decisions to revamp the economy. Amongst them was the go-ahead to capital infusion of 6,000 crores to NIIF debt platform in the next 2 years. The Cabinet also approved amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank with Development Bank of India Limited. More in this report.
The Union Cabinet, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has given its approval to the proposal for equity infusion by central government. 6,000 crore rupees in NIIF debt platform sponsored by National Investment and Infrastructure Fund. A condition has been placed that only 2,000 crore rupees would be allocated during the current year 2020-2021. However, in view of the unprecedented financial situation due to the prevailing COVID-19, the proposed amount may be disbursed only if there is readiness and demand for debt raising. This was one of the 12 key measures made by Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman as a part of the stimulus to the economy under Atmanirbhar Bharat 3.0 on 12th November.
पहले तो 6,000 करोड़ सरकार देगी, 7,000 करोड़ रुपए ये नेशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट एंड इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फंड जो है वो खुद इक्विटी के रूप में लोगों से लाएगी और फिर बॉन्ड मार्केट टैप करके लगभग 1 लाख करोड़ रुपए वहां से आएंगे और ये 1,10,000 करोड़ रुपए आने वाले दिनों में तैयार होंगे जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट के लिए लाएंगे.
Another important decision taken was approval to the amalgamation of Lakshmi Vilas Bank Limited with DBS Bank India Limited. With this, the amalgamation can move ahead, and post that there will be no further restrictions on the depositors regarding withdrawal of their deposits.
लक्ष्मी विलास बैंक डेवलपमेंट बैंक इंडिया लिमिटेड में अमालगमेट करने का निर्णय हुआ है. डेवलपमेंट बैंक इंडिया लिमिटेड ये प्राइवेट बैंक है और 20 लाख डिपॉजिटर्स हैं. लक्ष्मी विलास बैंक के 20 लाख डिपॉजिटर्स, 20,000 करोड़ डिपॉजिट्स है, 4,000 कर्मचारी नौकरी पर है. इस सबकी सुरक्षा इस निर्णय में है.
Other decisions include CCEA nod to FDI acquisition of 12.32% of the equity share capital of ATC Telecom Infrastructure Private Limited by ATC Asia Pacific Pte Limited. The acquisition is being done as a result of exercise of option by Tata Teleservices Limited and Tata Sons Private Limited. It would lead to foreign direct investment in flow of 2,480.92 crore rupees. DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the Pragati meeting. Now, this is Prime Minister's 33rd interaction through Pragati. This is the ICT-based multi-modal platform for proactive governance and timely implementation involving central and state governments. Multiple projects, grievances and programs were reviewed in the meeting. These projects, with a total cost of Rs 1.41 lakh crore, were related to 10 states and union territories, including Odisha, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat, Haryana, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. Prime Minister also listened to the grievances related to COVID-19, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Swanidhi Yojana, agriculture reforms and development of districts as export hubs were reviewed. Prime Minister also asked states to develop a state export strategy. Prime Minister also emphasized on the importance of grievance redressal and said that focus should not only be on quantity of such redressals but also on quality. In the previous 32 meetings, a total of 275 projects worth 12.5 lakh crore rupees have been reviewed, along with 47 programs and schemes, and grievances across 17 sectors have been taken up.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also attended the celebration of the Centennial Foundation Day of the University of Lucknow on Wednesday via video conferencing. PM Modi unveiled the university's centennial commemorative coin on the occasion. Prime Minister also released a special commemorative postal stamp issued by India Post and its special cover during the event. PM Modi congratulated the university on completion of its 100 years. He said that the journey of the university is associated with immense achievements.
सौ साल की इस यात्रा में यहां से निकले व्यक्तित्व राष्ट्रपति पद पर पहुंचे, राज्यपाल बने, विज्ञान का क्षेत्र हो या न्याय का, राजनीतिक हो या प्रशासनिक, शैक्षणिक हो या साहित्य, सांस्कृतिक हो या खेलकूद, हर क्षेत्र की प्रतिभाओं को लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी ने निखारा है, संवारा है।
PM Modi praised the people of the country for fighting coronavirus with patience and due care.
आज हम देख रहे हैं कि देश के नागरिक कितने संयम के साथ कोरोना की इस मुश्किल चुनौती का सामना कर रहे हैं, देश को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं। साथियों, देश को प्रेरित करने वाले, प्रोत्साहित करने वाले नागरिकों का निर्माण शिक्षा के ऐसे ही संस्थानों में ही होता है। लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी दशकों से अपने इस काम को बखूबी निभा रही है। कोरोना के समय में भी यहां के छात्र छात्राओं ने, टीचर्स ने अनेक प्रकार के समाधान समाज को दिए हैं।
The Prime Minister exhorted the university to offer courses on local arts and products and called for research for value addition to these local products.
अब जैसे लखनऊ की चिकनकारी, अलीगढ़ के ताले, मुरादाबाद के पीतल के बर्तनों, भदोही के कालीन, ऐसे अनेक उत्पादों को हम ग्लोबली कॉम्पिटिटिव कैसे बनाएं, इसको लेकर नए सिरे से काम, नए सिरे से स्टडी, नए सिरे से रिसर्च क्या हम नहीं कर सकते हैं? जरूर कर सकते हैं। इस स्टडी से सरकार को भी अपने नीति निर्धारण में, पॉलिसीज बनाने में बहुत बड़ी मदद मिलती है और तभी वन डिस्ट्रिक्ट वन प्रोडक्ट की भावना सच्चे अर्थ में साकार हो पाएगी। इसके अलावा हमारे आर्ट, हमारे कल्चर, हमारे अध्यात्म से जुड़े विषयों की ग्लोबल रीच के लिए भी हमें निरंतर काम करते रहना है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also inaugurate the virtual third Global Renewable Energy Investment Meeting and Expo, that is Reinvest 2020, this evening. The summit is organized by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and will be held till 28th of this month. The theme of Reinvest 2020 is Innovations for Sustainable Energy Transition. It will feature a 3-day conference on renewables and future energy choices. It is expected to be attended by over 75 international ministerial delegations, over 1,000 global industry leaders and 50,000 delegates. It aims to accelerate the worldwide effort to scale up development and deployment of renewable energy and connect the global investment community with Indian energy stakeholders.
In a bid to free up numbering resources, the Department of Telecommunication has decided to implement the recommendations of TRAI on ensuring adequate numbering resources for fixed line and mobile services. As per the new rules, subscribers will have to prefix 0 for making calls from landline to mobile phones. However, there will be no change in dialing plan for fixed to fixed, mobile phones to fixed and mobile to mobile calls. The new move would come into force from the 15th of January 2021. To inform the subscribers about the new rule, an announcement will be played every time a subscriber dials fixed to mobile phones without prefixing 0. This is expected to generate a total of approximately 2,539 million future numbering series and free up future numbering resources, as a consequence of which more number of connections can be added in the future. The changes have been made in order to have minimum inconvenience to subscribers.
Up next, we get to news related to COVID-19 situation across the country.
The Ministry of Home Affairs has issued an order with guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution, which will be effective from December 1, 2020 and to remain in force up to December 31st, 2020. The main focus of the guidelines is to consolidate the substantial gains that have been achieved against the spread of COVID-19, which is visible in the steady decline in number of active cases in the country. The order further said, keeping in view the recent spike in new cases and in few states, union territories, ongoing festival season and onset of winter, it is emphasized that to fully overcome the pandemic, there is need to maintain caution and to strictly follow the prescribed containment strategy focused on surveillance, containment and strict observance of the guidelines, SOPs issued by MHA and Ministry of Health. India has leaped across a significant milestone in its fight against COVID-19. The number of new daily cases have been below the 50,000 mark for 18 consecutive days. With cumulative recovery of more than 86,42,000 people so far, the national recovery rate has reached 93.72%. A video is circulating on social media claiming that the COVID-19 vaccine will introduce mRNA molecule in the body that will change people's DNA. But a fact check has found that the claim is fake. It says the coronavirus vaccine will not alter human DNA.
Union Road Transport and Highways Minister Nitin Gadkari will today inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of 16 highway projects in Uttar Pradesh. These projects for inauguration and foundation laying carry a road length of 505 kilometers, involving construction value of nearly 7,500 crore rupees. Paving the way for development of UP, these roads will enhance better connectivity, convenience and economic growth in the state.
All right, after all those national headlines, we get you updates from the international world in our segment Across the Globe.
All the latest updates from the COVID situation across the world. Also, it's the 26th of November, Thanksgiving Day, and the pandemic has impacted these celebrations in more ways than one. We take a look in our next segment.
First, we begin this section by taking a look at the global updates on COVID-19. As of now, more than 6 lakh COVID-19 cases have been reported worldwide, with over 14 lakh 25,000 deaths. Over 4 lakh people have recovered from the virus. The United States continues to top the list among the worst hit countries by the pandemic so far, with the highest number of infections. The US has recorded over 1 lakh cases of the virus, with death toll surging past 2 lakh 68,000.
US President-elect Joe Biden addressed the country on Wednesday, calling on all Americans to celebrate Thanksgiving with just a few family members and to remain optimistic despite the tragedy, the pain and anxiety that has marked the past 9 months. In lieu of the surge in cases of coronavirus in the United States, Joe Biden said that this Thanksgiving people must remember and honor the ones lost due to the pandemic and forego family gatherings. In spite of the suffering caused by the pandemic, he said, he emphasized that there are reasons for hope. He also expressed gratitude towards healthcare workers. With the festive season round the corner, the United States remains the worst hit country by the pandemic since weeks. The country has over 1,31 lakh cases of coronavirus and deaths over 2,68,000.
And more than 700 cars flocked into a school parking lot to receive a food box donation at Los Angeles Regional Food Bank for Thanksgiving 2020. President and CEO Michael Flood said that there's unprecedented demand due to the pandemic and people are losing their jobs. He also mentioned that we purchased 7 truckloads of turkeys for distribution as compared to 3 last year. Food insecurity is affecting millions of households across the country. According to Feeding America, prior to the pandemic, about 35 million Americans lived in food insecure households, and the number could hit 50 million if unemployment rate averages 10.5% by the end of the year.
And well, in our next segment, we bring you all the news trending on Twitter and on social media.
All right, to get us web review, our colleague Nancy is joining us. Nancy, good morning. Let us know what headlines have you picked up from social media platforms?
Good morning, Preeti and Rukma. Yes, let's take a look at what's really making it to the news this morning. In fact, we are beginning with the tragic news that came in from sports late last night. The Argentinian football legend Diego Maradona, they're passing away of a heart attack at the age of 60. In fact, he had recently battled health issues and also underwent emergency surgery there. He suffered a heart attack at his home in the outskirts of Buenos Aires on Wednesday. And of course, the Argentinian president has declared 3 days of national mourning. That tragic news coming in from the world of sports late last night. Of course, we also covered it. We will going to be covering it in our bulletins as well. Moving on now, the COVID-19 guidelines. The Home Affairs Ministry, they're issuing new COVID standard operating procedures for states and the Union Territories from 1st of December. This is, of course, in view of the rising COVID-19 cases across the country. The center, they're issuing fresh guidelines for virus containment, giving the states some crucial elbow room to put restrictions on the public movement and the gatherings. Now, these new guidelines issued by the Home Affairs Ministry have allowed the states to impose night curfews and putting any number of local restrictions, also keeping gatherings at the social events to less than 100, imposing fine on the people for not wearing masks, and even issuing orders for local lockdowns with the center's approval. All these measures, the stringent measures, they're being taken to contain the spread of COVID-19. Moving on now, in fact, I have picked up how the Sensex performed yesterday, and of course, the closing there, Sensex tanking 997 points from day's high, reaching the 44,000 mark, and Nifty, they're ending at 12,858. Well, this was after scaling fresh record highs in the morning trade. The domestic equity market tumbled around 1.5% as investors booked profit across the board. In fact, also the volatility index jumped 10% to 23.1 levels. Now, among the headline indices, the BSE Sensex ended 695 points, of 1.56% lower at 43,828, while the NSE Nifty ended at 12,858. That was down 197 points. In fact, also in the early trade, remember, Sensex had hit a high of 44,825, while the Nifty has scaled the peak of 13,146 levels. Because of this, the investors, they lost over 2.2 trillion rupees in the trade, as the market capitalization of the BSE listed companies slipped to 172.5 trillion rupees against the 174 trillion rupees on Tuesday. Moving on now, Malayalam film Jallikattu is now India's official entry for the Oscars, and in fact this has been selected as India's official entry for the Best International Feature Film category for the 93rd Academy Awards. Remember, Jallikattu is the third Malayalam film after Guru and Adimanthu Makan Abu to be chosen as the country's official entry for the Oscars. And the last news item that I've picked up for this morning is Scotland. They are becoming first country in the world to make sanitary products free. And yes, of course, Scotland has become the world's first country to provide free and universal access to sanitary products for women of all the age groups after the Scottish Parliament unanimously passed a legislation there. Now, under the Period Products Free Provision Scotland Act, the Scottish Government will introduce a nationwide program that will place a legal duty on all the local authorities to make feminine hygiene products such as, of course, the sanitary napkins freely available to those for those who need them. In fact, this measure will make sanitary napkins freely available at nearly all the public places, including community centers, the youth clubs, and also the pharmacies. Well, that's all the news for this morning, Preeti and Rukma. It's back to you for the rest of the news.
All right, Nancy, thanks for joining in with that web review.
And well, as we have been mentioning a few times earlier also, well, sports has lost one of its greats, Argentinian football legend Maradona, and in Sports Track we cover all about him, its attribute. Take a look.
The 1986 World Cup champion Maradona, notably known for his hand got goal. He is the fifth highest goal scorer for Argentina behind Lionel Messi, and he is also the only player in the history of football to have broken the record transfer fee twice. He and Messi are the only players to have won the Golden Ball at both FIFA Under-20 World Cup and FIFA World Cup.
Legendary football player Diego Maradona was football's genius, a world-beating player whose life and career scaled the most dazzling heights. Maradona died of a heart attack on Wednesday at the age of 60. Maradona became a global icon after leading Argentina to the 1986 World Cup. Diego Armando Maradona was born on October 30th, 1960 in Llanos, just outside Buenos Aires, and grew up in one of the poorest areas of the Argentine capital. He made his debut for the Argentinos juniors just before his 16th birthday and his debut for Argentina at the age of 16 in February of 1977. His career is defined by the World Cup. Maradona was powerful and quick. He was also a ferocious and astute competitor who refused to be intimidated even though many opponents tried. Above all, he was sublimely, imaginatively skillful. Diego Armando Maradona was born on October 30th, 1960, 3 days after Muhammad Ali won his first professional boxing fight. He represented his country, Argentina, 91 times. During that time, he scored 34 goals for Argentina. He represented Argentina in 4 World Cups of 82, 86, 90 and 94. Maradona was a skipper for Argentina 16 times. This is the world record for the most appearances as a skipper for a country in the tournaments. Maradona was only 15 when he started his professional career, making his debut for the Argentinos juniors. At 16, he made his international debut. This was at the Bombonera Stadium in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. The match was against Hungary. The year 1986 was a good year for Maradona as he captained his country to the World Cup victory against West Germany, beating them in finals with 3-2. Maradona's most iconic moment was arguably his infamous Hand of God moment during Argentina vs England match in the 1986 FIFA World Cup at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. The glory of this Blair can be gauged from the fact that his statue in Buenos Aires, Argentina is 9 feet high. Sports Desk, DD India.
And Argentina is grief-stricken over the death of Diego Maradona. Argentina President Alberto Fernandez declared 3 days of official mourning for the passing away of the World Cup winner. All right, the world sports, they're losing a gem as we tell you that Diego Maradona is no more.
Right, he was a player who inspired an entire generation. Time now to move on to our next segment, Be Care. As many people still lack access to pure drinking water, sanitation and electricity in some areas, a young inventor has come up with a simple but innovative solution that can solve the problem of both clean water and electricity. Union Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Prakash Javadekar tweeted and congratulated the youth for his effort. He said, "I congratulate Mr. Madhu Vajrakarur, an electrical engineer by profession, for developing a wind turbine that produces electricity and drinking water from the moisture in the air." Prime Minister Narendra Modi also spoke about this technique in one of his interviews.
And now we take a look at weather across the country.
As far as the weather report is concerned, severe cyclonic storm Nivar over southwest Bay of Bengal moved nearly northwestwards with a speed of 11 kmph in the past 6 hours and lay centered at 5:30 hours IST of 26 November 2020 over north coastal Tamil Nadu, about 50 kilometers northwest of Puducherry. It will continue to move northwestwards and weaken further into a cyclonic storm in the next 3 hours. Under its influence, fairly widespread to widespread rainfall, thunderstorm activity with heavy to very heavy falls at a few places, with isolated extremely heavy falls likely to occur over Ranipet and various other areas.
Fishermen are advised not to venture into southwest and adjoining west central Bay of Bengal during the next 12 hours. Up next, we'll take a look at temperatures across major cities of the country.
Well, we've come to the end of this edition of Breakfast News, but as always, we leave you with glimpses to make your day. Today, we bring you glimpses of Japanese handmade diamond masks embellished with 0.7 carat diamonds and more than 300 pieces of Swarovski crystal, while the pearl mask contains some 330 Japanese Akoya pearls. A Japanese company began selling the handmade masks with the aim of cheering people and spurring sales in the fashion industry depressed by the COVID pandemic. Take a look, but before that, here's a special message.
All right, so we have that glam factor attached to the masks in the fight against COVID-19. Remember, we're emphasizing, and we do that every day, wear a mask, wear it correctly and properly. This is the best and the most efficient means of protecting yourself and people around you against COVID-19. Be part of our campaign. It's just a small task. Wear a mask, but wear it correctly and properly. With that, we'll end this edition of Breakfast News here. Goodbye.
Namaskar.